no one expected the sanctions to prevent anything from happening. It has to show, this is going to take time. And we have to
ask the press corps if they don't mind leaving at this point.
Do you think you may have underestimated Putin?
Thank you. Time to move. Thank you. Thank you.
Judge Jackson, congratulations, and the podium is yours. Let me pull this out for you. Where is it? There you go. You got it? But okay. See, presidents can't do much. Thank you.
Thank you.
It is our responsibility, and diplomacy means engaging even with countries where you have strong disagreement and strong opposition.
And just so that we can understand then the approach, that means that you guys will sit here and sanction Vladimir Putin and then send diplomats to go sit on the same side of the table with the Russians to hash out the Iran deal. Is that what's happening?
That's right, Peter, but I don't know why you sound so skeptical. What our job here in the United States and from any government is to take steps that are in the interest of the American people and the United States of America.
This is the guy who brought the entire world, including Russia and China, to bring about the most devastating efforts on Iran to make sure that they, in fact, stop with their... Look, I mean, these guys bet against America all the time.
If you're on the American public, you mean specifically Americans should expect higher gasoline prices?
Yeah, energy prices, exactly. That's what we want the American public to be aware is a possibility.
Because I've seen the list of exemptions, and it's frankly huge. Can you give us an example of the...
You're asking me to...
Well, I mean, are we talking about cultural exchanges or what? I mean, because... If
Matt,
you look at the list of stuff that's exempted, you start with the JCPOA, you go to climate, you go to COVID, you go to anything having to do with consular affairs.
What you will see...
go to anything that the seventh floor thinks is significant enough, which could be anything. So I'm just wondering, what is it?
You will see
the Arctic Council in there.
You will see
every single.
You will see a focus on our core national security interests.
Yeah, but every international organization. You know, contact with the Russians at every international organization is carved out. It's exempted from this.
Matt, I'm not sure this.
Going from the ICAO to the Arctic Council to the OSCE.
We are going to pursue.
Well, I know. So what has been banned or halted because of this directive?
To those core national security interests. I will leave it to your well-informed imagination what might not meet that criteria.
I'm just wondering, can you point to something specific that is now no longer able to be talked about with Russians bilaterally because of this? Because it just seems like almost everything that one can imagine, except for, I don't know, licensing for artwork to come to be loaned to a museum
the Russian
is included.
Oh, we don't have much going on, other than Russia and Ukraine.
The Russians and the Chinese see this. If we're not going to be serious about our own border, why will we be serious about helping any of our allies?
The president said before he got here that Putin knows if I am president of the United States, his days of tyranny and trying to intimidate the United States and those in Eastern Europe are over. It's 2.5 years later. He is intimidating the United States and those in Eastern Europe. What happened?
I'd hardly put it that way. I would look at it actually from the prism of the United States, and President Biden has rallied the world, rallied Europe to stand up against the efforts and the actions of President Putin. And we've laid out very clearly exactly...
$4 gas, $5 gas, however how you guys think it's going to go, something like that. Is not intimidating.
You asked me if we were intimidated by President Putin, and I think the evidence of that doesn't exist. Go ahead, Kristen.
They just experienced their most expensive Thanksgiving. This conflict will likely drive up food prices, grocery prices. What does the White House minimizing the impact of even higher grocery prices actually look like?
I don't think we've ever minimized the higher impact of the cost of food. I would note, let me finish. Factually, I think the price of a turkey just a couple of months ago was about $1 more. If we just look back at the facts of what was actually happening at the time. The president has never been a supporter of Nord Stream 2. We've always criticized it as as a project that we didn't support. We took a range of steps and sanctions, including sanctions, to make that very clear. We've never felt, the president didn't feel, that issuing preemptive sanctions on that was the right step to take. But look where we are. Nord Stream 2 is not moving forward. And by the way, it hasn't been operational anyway. So, that's a fact. It's not moving forward at this point in time. In terms of the future, we've never felt it was a good project. We've been clear about that. And that assessment, I don't expect would change in the future.
And on Nord Stream 2, last month the White House opposed an effort on Capitol Hill to put sanctions on this pipeline. Last year, of course, President Biden waived the sanctions on that, and now today he is imposing the sanctions on it, which is a pretty big shift. So can you just explain the changes and where you...
Well, we don't see it as a shift at all. We've never supported the pipeline. It was 90% built when the president took office. We've always spoken out against the pipeline, and there were calls by some in Congress to do preemptive sanctions on, or earlier sanctions, or take earlier steps, I should say, on Nord Stream 2. We disagreed with that strategy. We worked through a diplomatic path.
Do you think these sanctions will actually be a deterrent?
Well, I think that is a decision for President Putin to make.
He will be emboldened. Look, well, anyway.
Can you talk anything more about your conversation? Mr. President.
You're confident that these devastating sanctions are going to be as devastating as Russian missiles and bullets and tanks?
Yes, Russian bullets, missiles, and tanks in Ukraine. Yes, I am.